It's another day. Yeah, that's what most people think. But in business, it's never just another day. Every day is the day. There's the day your store has its biggest sale, the day you have a make or break presentation, and the day your team operates from across the country. But there's also the day you never see coming, the day when nothing goes right. See, that's the thing. You never know what the day might bring. So whether you do business on Wall Street or Main Street, you have to be ready. With the power of the network that can deliver gig speeds to the most businesses, the freedom to control that network from anywhere, and advanced cybersecurity to help protect every device on it, all backed by a dedicated team 24/7. Every day in business is a big day. What's next? Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of Leading Change, our second virtual Leading Change conference. We are thrilled to have you with us. I am Deb Betch. I am GII's Chief Talent Officer, and I am excited to be back with you again today. We have a tall order today because yesterday was awesome. Arande and Denise were fantastic as our keynotes, and all of our Goodwillers who participated in our theory and action sessions were fantastic. And I really want to thank all of you guys who are tuning in. Virtual conferences can be hard, but you guys, we at Goodwill, we know how to do it because you guys blow up our, which is such a great way to stay focused, be engaged with one another, reinforce some of the learning you're getting, share some of the ideas that you have and things that have worked for you, and really just all around show some love for our speakers and for one another. So keep it up. I love all the hellos. Hello, Richmond, Virginia, Panama City, Florida, Northeast Iowa, Pittsburgh's in the house, Decatur, Georgia. We are psyched that you're all here, and we're looking forward to another phenomenal day of content. I want to start by thanking our sponsors, our platinum sponsor, Dell Reconnect, our gold sponsors, Cintas, Comcast Business, and White House Shapiro. You can see all of our sponsors on the sponsors tab from the virtual lobby. Check them out. They offer great products and services to partner with you locally at your Goodwill, and all of them have a commitment to our Goodwill mission. So we're very grateful to all of our sponsors for their support. Just to give you a little bit of the lay of the land, just like I did yesterday, we've been very intentional in our design of Leading Change. We really took the opportunity that the virtual environment that COVID really kind of thrust upon us, we took it as a gift and we ran with it. And we wanted to provide an opportunity to really focus these conferences on leadership development. Give you time and space to reflect on your leadership so that you can bring all of your gifts and talents and the best of yourselves every day to your team, to your organization, and to the people that Goodwill serves across the network. So that was really the spark behind Leading Change. The first day yesterday was all around individual leadership, really focusing on yourself and your own development. Today, we are going to focus on your leadership in the context of leading your teams, and then tomorrow we will focus on leading across the organization. Now, while today and tomorrow we have the focus on team and then organization, the common denominator there is your leadership. So make sure that as you come to today, you stay focused on your role as leading the team, your role, awareness on yourself, holding that mirror up to yourself so that you can be the best leader that you can be. Just like yesterday, we're going to kick it off with Arande in just a couple minutes. And then we will go to our theory and action sessions. And then you have another treat with another speaker this afternoon, Sonia Aranza. And many of you may know her. Sonia has been involved in some of our leadership programs. We at GII have worked closely with Sonia. So another phenomenal speaker to really contribute to your learning today. Now, we've talked about ways to engage, and you guys have nailed the chat. Keep it up. Remember that we have polls in the poll button. You can go there. We have the unbag session at the end today so that you can come together with your colleagues across the network, share what you've learned, reflect on it, to really help you take what you're hearing and apply it. We also have, of course, we have bingo, because we are Goodwill. We can't not have a game. So check out the bingo tab in the virtual lobby. You will find things on there like, have you had 4 glasses of water today during the conference? I have mine right here. Not sure I'm going to hit 4 glasses because otherwise I won't be sitting right here. And you need me. So 4 glasses of water a day. There's also things in there like post something about how you are fully living into being courageously authentic, the way Arande talked about that yesterday. We have prizes. Of course, we have prizes. You're going to meet Lorenzo Gomez tomorrow. We have a copy of his book available for you. We also have Visa gift card drawings. So get in there and play. So the last thing I want to hit before we bring Arande on is your workbook. Make sure in the virtual lobby that you go and print out your workbook so that you can really take notes as you go, refer back to them, prompt questions, get curious, bring the learnings back to your team. The workbook is there with some great prompts for you, and another great tool for you to further your own learning. And then for your peers who haven't been able to show up to the conference, a great way to take some of the learning back. So with that, I am excited to once again introduce to you all Arande Creighton. I'm going to read you a different bio today on Arande, and this requires me putting on my glasses. But this one I think I love even more than the first one. Arande Creighton's career has been like a pot of gumbo. The combination of odd ingredients that don't stand out on their own: juvenile counseling, call center management and operations, training, leadership development, and organization development. But when combined, create a great meal that folks love. His goal in life is to live seamlessly without compartmentalization. He brings his whole self to work each and every day: husband, father, mentor, trafficking abolitionist, and practical joker. Arande's specialties include facilitation of workshops, team building and process, consulting, leadership development, organization development, and training, delivery, and coaching. And I think if you were able to join us yesterday, you saw all of those things come together so beautifully as Arande shared his gifts and his experiences with us. So without any further hesitation, I am thrilled to once again introduce Arande Creighton.
Well, good afternoon again, and welcome to day 2 of the Leading Change Virtual Conference. I hope that the first day was exciting for you all. And as a matter of fact, Chris, if you can put up the first slide, here's what I'm curious about. I want to know, what was your biggest takeaway from day 1? Just put it in the chat. And while you're putting that in the chat, just a couple of things. I gave some shout outs yesterday to Atlanta, which is my current city I've been in over 20 years. Richmond, Virginia is my hometown. But I want to kind of see who else is out there. My family's from Columbia, West Lexington, South Carolina. So I don't know if we got anybody from those areas. I went to school at A&T, so I'm an Aggie. So if we've got the Greensboro, Piedmont Triad area out there, would love to see if any of those folks are in there in the chat as things are coming through. And while we're also doing that, again, what was your biggest takeaway from yesterday? So I want you to keep in mind something that Deb shared with us yesterday. She told us what this trajectory was going to be. And today we're focusing on leading teams. Yesterday was leading self. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to think that these are levels, right? We're not in gaming. It's not, hey, I finished this level of Mario Brothers or whatever your favorite game is so I can check that off. These are going to be building on top of each other, okay? Think of what you're doing as building a custom home, okay? You know your favorite house that's in your community, in your neighborhood, the one you drive by after a long week, and you sit there and stare, but not longer than about 3 minutes and 15 seconds because you don't want the neighbor to come out and ask you, what in the world are you doing in front of my house? When you're building that custom house, you've got to start off with a foundation. And the foundation might be as simple as a concrete slab, or it could be digging into the ground if you want that basement with the game room and the movie and everything else. But when we start building the first floor, we don't eliminate the basement, do we? No, we build on top of it and we make sure that we've got a solid foundation that's there. And so yesterday, leading self was all about building that foundation. And so as I'm looking through, I see Hope says, leaning into change, speaking truth to power and service to others. Recognize who you are and understand that you don't have to do it all or have all the answers. That's a mouthful right there, right? We can just stop right there. We don't have to have all the answers all the time as leaders. These are some great things. And as we go through today and tomorrow, I want you to keep those foundations of the things that you learned for yourself. A lot of you are like Heather, who said, just be vulnerable, and just the importance of that vulnerability. So now, as we're going through today, here's what I want us to begin to expand our horizons and focus in on an important component of our work, and that's our people. We cannot lose sight of what we are committed to doing for our own development yesterday, but today's conversation, we're going to discuss relating. And we're going to stay with this theme of leading self by talking about our own self-awareness as well. Now, I need to really know and understand how I'm connecting with others, but just also how I'm showing up as a leader and how I need to grow and get better, right? And so at the Full Circle Group, when we talk about relating and connecting, we're talking about a leader's capability to relate to others in a way that brings out the best in their people and their groups. And there are a lot of different components that go into relating. Caring, connection. Am I able to connect at a heart level with genuineness? Fostering team play. How do I build high performance work teams? Collaboration. As a leader, am I engaging others in a way that makes them feel involved? Mentoring and developing. How am I growing others and having growth enhancing relationships? And finally, interpersonal intelligence. Can I listen and engage and read the room and exhibit some emotional intelligence? And these are key skills for leaders, not just to possess, but to exhibit and use daily. So yesterday, after I wrapped up, I had a chance to listen to a few of your Goodwill leaders, and a lot of them talked about some of these concepts. I really enjoyed Ann Richards and Alice Vasquez's session on mentoring for leadership development. And one of the key things that they talked about was really connecting with each other. Alex brought in this whole concept of not being what he called a water skier relationally, right? That's that surface leader. You all know what that's like. That's that individual who just really kind of checks the box that I ask people what's going on or how their weekend was, right? You know what that's like. It's Monday morning. I'm coming into the office. I stop at Devin's spot and cubicle. I ask him how the weekend was. And before he can even turn around and give me a response, I am already down the hallway, around the corner, trying to find Chris to do the exact same thing. Why? Because I'm just checking a box. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about at a heart level, really making sure that we're connecting with people. Ann shared one of my favorite quotes. And I've got like a million favorite quotes. So, you know, it's probably not the right thing to say favorite quote, right? But it's this one. And if you can put up that slide, that deck one more time for me. And the slide is this one from Maya Angelou. At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel. And here's what's so important about that and about what Ann and Alex shared. If I'm a leader, if I'm your leader, and I'm not exhibiting any of these traits, I'm not connecting with you genuinely, the level of trust you have in me is going to be compromised. And that's the bottom line. So it's really important that we're connecting and getting in there with our people on a regular basis. So something that I think is a good place to kind of pause here. There's a question in your workbook that we generated for this particular session. And it just simply says, what are some questions that I can ask of my teams to connect with them on a deeper and more authentic level? And I want you to just take a moment to answer that question. What are some ways I can really connect at a heart level? And in fact, some of you may be really natural at this. And so I would ask, just drop a few of those questions in the chat. That's the power of being in community. We're able to learn and grow together. All right. So I need to kind of stop because my head's hurting a little bit, because I think what's going on is I'm an introvert and I'm feeling a whole lot of introvert energy coming in towards me right now, because I've got some folks who are saying, wait a minute, I need to understand some things. I mean, you know, it's easy for Juanita to, you know, ask the question, what are goals in your life? You know, it's easy for Scott to say, what's brought you closer to the community, or how are you feeling today, or listening from the heart. But some of you are starting to feel a little overwhelmed because you're that introvert, right? That bead of sweat is starting to form at the corner of your temple there. In fact, you're actually, Chris, bring that PowerPoint back up. Some of you are actually reenacting this scene from Mission Impossible 2. Remember where Tom Cruise is sitting there sprawled out and the bead of sweat is about to hit the motion detecting floor, right? That's where some of you are right now, because you want to ask the question, Arande, please tell me you're not saying that I need to connect with some other people, that I need to talk to other people. Like, really, is that what you're telling me is important as a leader? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm asking of you. I'm asking you to care enough about the people you work with and have the privilege of leading to step outside of your comfort zone and truly connect. Growing means stretching. It's kind of like this rubber band I've got right here. When it's just hanging here limp, it has no value. But when I pull it and stretch it, the value is apparent to the user. So that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to put on your adult pants and step into a little discomfort. Second, the control room is talking to me. They're relaying some more introvert issues and energy here. There's some people out there who, some of these locations, I think there's smoke coming out of people's ears. They said that people are starting to overheat there, okay? Because they're saying, wait a minute, this is work. This is work. We don't have personal conversations. We don't ask what makes you come alive. We don't ask, you know, how do you connect? Wait a minute, just breathe, people. Just breathe, okay? You can talk about personal things at work. And I always like to say this, especially for my introverts. There's a difference between the personal side of our lives and the private sides. I'm not asking you to divulge the private, but I am asking you to share the personal. I'm asking you to connect at a heart level. The personal is me telling you that I've got two amazing daughters. I've got a 16-year-old who is going to change the world through social justice, and I've got a 20-year-old who's studying to be an athletic trainer and sports psychologist. That's personal, but it's not private. The reality is people want to know the personal you, but they have to earn the right to know you privately. Because here's what's important. When we connect at the heart level, it allows each person to feel fully seen and fully embraced. And without that opportunity to connect, we sometimes don't know if we're able to bring our authentic and unapologetic presence to our teams. So if I can, I want to share just a short story to illustrate the power of connection and how it can change and shift a relationship. Years ago, as Deb was reading in my bio, I worked for an internet provider. Now, admittedly, I was definitely a get results type of leader. I mean, you know, put up that next slide for me there, Chris. My theme song should have definitely been Janet Jackson's, you know, what have you done for me lately? right? That's where I should have been. All right. Just doing Janet's dance all day long in the call center. Okay. Are we hitting our service level agreements? Are we number one in sales and service? That's all I cared about. If I'm being just being real with you, I wouldn't have followed me back in those days. I was just that bad of a leader. You can pull that down for me, Chris. Well, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here. We decided that we were going to engage chat functionality in our call center. And so it required me to travel to some other locations and learn how to successfully implement chat in this call center environment. And so while I was planning a trip to Toronto, I decided to have the supervisor who was going to lead this initiative join me. Now, some of you, because you're extroverts, not a big deal. I got a travel partner, right? But for me as an introvert, this was a big deal. I mean, everybody knew my MO was get to the site, work 8A to 8P, go back to the room, order room service, rinse and repeat the next day. Okay. Now, the other thing you need to know is that this supervisor could not have been more different than I was. If I liked vanilla, she was a chocolate lover. If I'm an introvert, she was extreme extrovert. Back then, my favorite TV show was 24 with Jack Bauer. She thought it was a total waste of prime time. Okay. And so this could have been a recipe for disaster in traveling with her. But what I knew was that this supervisor didn't know me as a person, let alone a leader. In fact, not only did she not know me, but she'd also made up some stories about me based on her limited interactions. Well, now, quick side note. How many of your team members are making up stories about you because they haven't had a chance to connect with you? I'm gonna leave that alone. I stepped on somebody's toes, so I'm gonna move back to my story after that, okay? So I decided to put on those adult pants, the same ones I told you all about, and I decided that I was gonna be intentional about interacting with her. So we grabbed breakfast, lunch, and dinner together every day. And each evening, I would go back to my hotel room, I would put my thumb in my mouth and rock myself to sleep saying, why are we torturing ourselves like this? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us, right? And here's what's important for you to remember. Sometimes making those connections don't pay immediate dividends. She still thought 24 was a stupid show. She still didn't like vanilla ice cream. But I had made that investment. So about a month later, she comes by, she knocks on my office door. I wave her in. She said, hey, I was talking to some of the other supervisor managers, telling them about our trip, and their mouths dropped. And they said, what's going on? That's not our experience of traveling with Aronde. And so I asked, she asked me, she said, is that true? Do you normally not spend that much time with people? I said, yeah, it's absolutely true. She said, well, what was different this time? And I simply told her, I think we needed to spend some time getting to know each other. And it was worth making the investment. It's been over 10 years since I've worked with that individual, but every year around my birthday, she sends me a note. And so I just want to put up on the screen a portion of the note she sent me last year while we were all in the midst of COVID. And that note simply said this: that trip was truly amazing. I remember it well. In fact, I have new friends in Toronto, and all of the reasons I tell them I love the city is from our visit. I've come across about a half dozen folks or so in the past few years who've had the benefit of your mentoring and coaching. You're a natural leader, which is one thing, but to have the gift and generosity of spirit to know how to share it and guide others, that's character. That's why as leaders, we have to lean in and do what might not feel comfortable or natural. Now, Miss Green, my old high school and public speaking teacher, is going to be so mad at what I'm about to say here, but I need to actually say it this way. You got to remember something as a leader. It ain't about you. It's about the team you lead. So relating, connecting, mentoring, collaborating, all of that's important. And here's my challenge. Stop making excuses as to why you don't have time to do it. Make the time, because that's what it's all about for us as leaders. So as I begin to start wrapping up, we got to go back to our second focus today, which is all around self-awareness. I mean, you probably thought that because we covered courageous authenticity yesterday, that we weren't going to talk about you anymore, right? Newsflash. We've always got to be focused on ourselves. We must constantly and consistently evaluate how we're showing up as leaders. And so our self-awareness is about a few different things. It's asking and honestly answering the question of, am I showing up as a servant leader and a selfless leader? Am I demonstrating composure in difficult situations? Do my team members see me exhibiting balance, or am I a do what I say, not what I do leader? Am I focused on my own growth and development as a leader? These are some hard areas to think about. This lens is what I like to call the leadership mirror. And the leadership mirror is kind of like the bathroom scale. I know I'm crossing into dangerous territory here. I know it, but just stick with me for a minute, okay? See, it's when it's the holidays and we know we've been to a few too many parties. I know I shouldn't have had that extra serving of mac and cheese or dressing. I'm a Southerner. It's dressing, not stuffing. Sorry for those of you from the North who call it something different, okay? The last thing we want to do over the holidays is get on that scale. Why? Because the scale confirms what we already know. I overindulge and that little number just confirmed it. That's exactly what the leadership mirror does. It confirms what we know deep down inside of ourselves. But here's what I'm going to tell you about the leadership mirror. And I'm going to say it the way we say it in Atlanta. Don't be scared. Okay? Look in that mirror and embrace the truth that's reflecting back at you. I had a chance to listen to part of the panel conversation that my buddy Everett moderated yesterday. And Elaine Armstrong shared some really powerful insights. I mean, she is based in Atlanta. She is North Georgia, right? So, I mean, expect nothing less, right? But I want to paraphrase something that Elaine said. She said, every day I don't get it right, and I'm not courageous. Sometimes I'm armored. But even on those days, it's a win because I'm able to see that I'm armored and I can dig into why so that it doesn't happen again. That's leadership, people. Drop the mic and keep it moving. That's an example of Elaine looking into that leadership mirror, no matter how bad the reflection is going to be, because she already knows she's armored up all the way. But she's saying, I need to see it because for the goodwill of North Georgia, I don't want to show up like that again. That's a leader that's saying it's not about being right all the time, but it's about getting it right. One of the things that can help us see that leadership reflection clearly is the team that we serve. See, when we have an opportunity to be hot, humble, open, and transparent, okay, it creates an environment where our people can let us know, yeah, Aranda, you missed the mark on that one. So I want you to go back to your workbooks. There's a second question there. It says, who are the 3 people I work with that I can ask for feedback from on how I'm leading? Now, here's the key to that question. Don't just choose your fan club. What do I mean by the fan club? You know, those people that your lunch buddies, people you can always go to safely and vent, the ones who always have your back, even when you're wrong, right? It's okay to have one fan club member, but I want to challenge you to ask that one person that you don't want to engage. You know who I'm talking about, the one who's holding the elevator for you and you start slowly walking up to the elevator bank and say, yeah, I'll catch the next one, Dev, right? The one you don't want to be on the project team with. I want you to include that person because that's the individual that's going to give you the truth. And it may hurt at first, and that's okay. But here's the beauty. That person may also become the president of your fan club. Once they see just how committed you are to changing and getting it right and who you really are at your core. So as we're coming to the end of our session, you know, we talked about relating, we've talked about self-awareness, but I want you to hopefully be able to see how these build on the courageous authenticity of yesterday. Okay? Now, I want you to just do one last thing for me. I want you to close your eyes wherever you are. Just trust me. Close your eyes. And I want you to envision this leadership mirror that I've been blabbering about. When you see that reflection of the leader in you, what do you see? What are the developed traits that are shining back at you? The traits that make you a great leader in the eyes of others. As you see that reflection, what seems to be missing? What are traits that maybe you've exhibited in the past but aren't showing up now? Or maybe they've always been missing. Last, what are the traits that you know you should focus your effort and attention on building because they'll make you stronger as a leader? Now, as you think of all of those traits, I want you to open your eyes and I want you to start writing those down. Let those 3 types of traits, observed, missing, and needed, help you to create this development plan and use it to form your own cleat, right? Let's put up that last slide there, Chris. And as you're thinking about this plan, I want you to think about these 5 questions. How can you commit to developing these traits? What in your leadership will be enhanced as a result of these traits growing in you? What are the ways you will execute on this development plan? Who will you be accountable to in growing these traits? And finally, what are the easy ways for you to gain traction in growing these 3 areas of traits? With that, I'm going to flip it back to my friend Deb, and I think we're going to get into a little bit of Q&A.
Arande, thank you so much. So just so you know, like behind the scenes magic here for a moment, Arande could see me during his speech. I don't know if you were watching me, Arande, but I closed my eyes and I did my observed, missing, and needed. And I just have a feeling here that I'm going to ask you some questions. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, start putting them in the chat because I want to make sure that we're here in service of your needs. So start putting in the chat the questions you have that you want to get in front of Arande, because failing that, it's going to become about me, and I don't want it to just become about me. So, oh, they do have one, Arande. What was the last question on the previous slide around cleats?
Sure, I see that. What are the easy ways for you to gain traction in growing those traits?
Awesome. And as I was sitting here thinking, you know, you have such a beautiful presentation style, Arande. And as I was sitting here, I was thinking, oh no, this is about to become a Arande coaching Deb moment in front of hundreds of people. So we'll see how we go, because there are so many things that stood out for me in what you just said. First and foremost, 24, you are my people. I see you, Arande. Love 24.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to start there. You talked about starting at the heart level, and you know that getting out of the head level and moving to the heart level. And to me, that heart level is the foundation of trust. And for the introverts in the group, and let's not just put it as an introvert extrovert thing.
Absolutely.
Tapping into heart level is hard, and it requires a lot of the courageous authenticity that you talked about yesterday. It requires vulnerability. And you hit today also the difference between personal and private.
Mm-hmm.
Can you help us with a little bit of tactics? And you did such a good job with some of this yesterday too, and how you tapped into the courageous authenticity. Some of the tactics of how to get at that heart in a personal way without being a private way.
Absolutely. And you know, let me first say, this was probably one of the hardest things for me to learn and implement as a leader. When I say I'm an extreme introvert, I am. Like if we're doing, Deb and I were in a class for 3 days. At about day 2, if people asking me like go to dinner, I mean, I'm internally like, what do I do? What do I do? Right? I mean, I'm just that extreme of an introvert. And what I found is I'm also naturally curious. And so I've used that curiosity to my benefit. And one of the easy ways for me is, what is it that I'm curious about of this particular individual? You know, and it could be as simple as, you know, I live in Georgia. The fall is always easy because if somebody is wearing, you know, a University of Georgia shirt or something, you know, I may just